Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the 40-year-old version. Before we begin, let me know in the comments if you were looking forward to this or what your thoughts are if you've seen it already, and make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like these reviews. It helps me out immensely if you do that. Also, if you're new here and you like movies, whether it be blockbusters, hidden gems, or everything in between, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases and some classics. But now, let's jump right into it. This stars Radha Blank as a character also named Radha, a struggling playwright who works as a teacher and is trying to get her big break as she's on the verge of 40. After some failed attempts to get her newest work off the ground, she reinvents herself as a rapper named RadiMUS Prime and infuses both hip-hop and theater in the hopes of finally achieving her dream of being a successful artist. So the title of this movie is a play on the film The 40-Year-Old Virgin, but to be perfectly clear, this has nothing to do with it otherwise. This is actually loosely based on Blank's own experiences as a playwright in New York, and not only did she star in this, but she also wrote, directed, and produced it, with it being her feature debut. And I gotta say, she is a name you definitely need to be on the lookout for, because this is a fantastic debut. Above all else, the film feels very real, and it's bound to connect with a lot of people, because Blank captures perfectly the struggle that so many artists face trying to get their work off the ground, especially those living in New York. There's always been a very romanticized look at the entertainment industry, whether it be film, music. While there are a lot of celebrities who work in entertainment who have that life of luxury, there are also a ton of people who find steady work but aren't raking in millions, and then there are even more people who are trying to make it and they maybe have a couple of hits and that's it, or aren't even able to make it at all due to all the competition. And we get an in-depth look at that side of the entertainment industry. Radha, the character, was once listed on a 30 under 30 list, but her career has stalled ever since, and anything she writes after that gets rejected. And she has the most difficult time getting her career really off the ground. She has a best friend who's also her agent, played by Peter Kim, who tries connecting her with producers he knows, but nothing ever comes from those meetings. And part of the struggle also stems from the fact that she's forced to compromise her vision in order to potentially strike a deal. This mainly focuses on her writing a new play in which she speaks about her struggles as a black woman, and she deals with this one producer, played by Reed Birney, who has a lot of off-Broadway hits. But he's also this old, out-of-touch white guy who forces her to change parts of her play to include things that don't relate to her experience, because he says by doing so, it'll supposedly appeal to a broader audience. But it's really so he can turn the play into something that serves his own interests, and it can essentially appeal to his own friends. Radha notes at one point how he's obsessed with poverty porn, with an intense focus on harsh storylines, and he'll twist stories to fit his narratives, even if they weren't part of an artist's original vision. And this character represents a struggle that a lot of creators in all media outlets go through, unless you're totally independent. Creators who aren't given full control of their work may find their stories compromised with plot details reworked. If it's with bigger studios, there will be studio interference, important cultural references may be removed, and changes will be made to make the work feel more stylish rather than full of substance, and that's nailed perfectly in these interactions with this producer. And in contrast to how the producer wants to compromise the character Radha's vision, the writer-director Radha never presents as a story that feels like just another typical Hollywood movie. She never gets from point A to point B neatly or in this simple step-by-step process. Like when she first decides to try rapping, she does a session for a mixtape and does really well, but when she's invited to go on stage and perform, she tanks the show. It's not like she suddenly starts to build momentum and we suddenly get this big rags to riches story, because this bucks a lot of the tropes we get in much bigger, more mainstream films. There's even one scene where she's having a longer conversation with one character who she interacted with in passing, and this character essentially tells her, and I'm paraphrasing here, "So is this the part where I give you some great advice and you find your way? I got nothing." There are certainly emotional peaks, but it never feels sanitized, and there's a much more natural energy. I think what helps too is that most of the actors are unknowns. Everyone here has some acting experience for the most part, but there aren't any names here, which helps make the experience feel a lot closer to feeling like real life. There wasn't anyone famous distracting you and potentially taking you out of the moment. The closest thing we got is Reed Birney, who has an extensive Broadway career and has been in some movies, but he isn't exactly a big name. What's also done is there will be cutaways to other people Radha knows from her neighborhood, whether it be a store employee, a neighbor who walks by every day, among others, who will comment on the situation at hand. They'll recount some of their own experience, such as how they felt they approached 40, or relating to whatever's going on in the main story at that moment. We also get scenes where Radha is observing other creators at work. Like at one point she goes to a rap battle that has a pretty unique setting, which I won't spoil. But by doing this, Blank captures a more in-depth look at what the day-to-day life of less commercialized creators are like, as well as the people they surround themselves with. There's a very raw energy about it. It's filmed in black and white, with some of the shots looking absolutely absolutely stunning, thanks to some beautiful cinematography, while other shots will move as if they're following Radha around to give it more of this natural feel. It reminded me a lot of seeing the first movies from filmmakers like Kevin Smith, Christopher Nolan, and Darren Aronofsky. All of them also had low-budget black and white feature debuts, and I really hope Blank will join them in going on to create bigger and bolder films from here, because she's fantastic, her script is phenomenal, and she's also just a joy to watch in action. She hits all the emotional beats perfectly, plus she has an incredible wit about her. Much of the dialogue here is sharp, and her own comedic timing is on point. Which is also worth noting. While this is a very grounded film, it's also extremely funny. It's a very dialogue-based movie, and a lot of the conversations are just a blast to hear. Characters will talk over each other, some scenes will feel improvised. The entire cast also had incredible chemistry with one another too, which gave some of the exchanges an extra bite. And the off-kilter ways in which they'll respond to certain things just had me laughing pretty consistently. Like I said, it still has plenty of emotional beats, as it does a fantastic job at capturing the struggles of artists in New York, but there are a lot of laughs along the way, and it doesn't really have any jarring tonal shifts. The only thing I'll say is, in terms of criticisms, at one point it kind of slows down in the third act. It's a 2-hour film and there are a fair amount of subplots going on here, and because of that, it just threw off the pacing for me a few times, mainly in the third act. We're not entirely sure where some of these subplots are going to go, and because of that, I felt like a few scenes went on a bit longer than they should, but otherwise, this is a fantastic movie. I highly recommend checking this out. This is an incredible debut for Radha Blank. She gives a fantastic performance, and she also captures so well this other side to the entertainment industry that isn't explored as often in film. It's beautifully shot, incredibly funny, and just an absolute joy to watch. It's on Netflix now, so definitely watch this when you can. The 40-year-old version gets an 8.5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see the 40-year-old version, or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you find it funny? Do you want to see more from Radha Blank? And what's your favorite movie about the entertainment industry? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.